You know, in the world of movies and fandom, one of the other things besides the movie theaters and movie release schedules that the pandemic really affected, Rob, was, of course, the conventions. You know, the conventions are a big part of the movie year. You know, CinemaCon last year got canceled, Comic-Con got canceled, New York City, all these sorts of big things got canceled. And these things that a lot of fans look forward to every year kind of had to been pushed. Now, we had, of course, Comic-Con at home. That's not really the same thing at all and all that kind of stuff. One of the things people have been wondering about is, are they going to be moving forward with New York Comic-Con? And they've given every indication that they were moving forward with it, and they were still going to do it in October. And now it's kind of confirmed. It's being reported now that New York Comic-Con, probably, is it fair to say, Rob, probably the second biggest one next to San Diego? I think it's probably fair to say at this point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is going to be going on in person in October, with the one little added thing that they will require everybody who attends to show proof of vaccination. That's going to be key. Now, this shouldn't be much of a surprise to a lot of people because, of course, the city of New York has been implementing this rule for everybody. So Comic-Con is also pushing this through. What's really interesting here, though, Rob, is that ReedPop, the company behind New York Comic-Con, they do other things as well. And they've already done this with another another festival that they do. Listen to this. Convention organizer ReedPop doesn't foresee much pushback from enforcing these COVID protocols. For a similar event called PAX, that's a big video game thing, PAX West, the company implemented similar guidelines. They only received 10 They only received 10 requests for refunds and even saw a significant increase in sales once they announced that they were going to require proof of vaccination for people to go. They saw an increase in sales. All in all, the guidelines are for guest protection and become increasingly more of a necessity as COVID-19 cases increase. Most other conventions in 2020 and 2021 had to take place virtually due to the pandemic. Fortunately for comic fans, the guidelines allow New York Comic-Con to take place in person in October. And that comes to us from the folks over there at Screen Rant. And listen, you know, Rob, you and I and a lot of people like us, we really felt the absence of these conventions last year because a lot of us love going to these things. We love being around tens and hundreds of thousands of other people who are there to have a good time and smiling and having fun and all this kind of stuff. And it's just great to be around, and missing it last year, missing all of them last year was really a bummer. I'm excited about going to CinemaCon next week because, of course, we couldn't do it last year, unfortunately. But this is great. And you know what I love seeing? I love seeing ReedPop saying, listen, we've already done this for another one of our events. And when we announced it, we actually saw ticket sales go up. And that's good to see. So I am thrilled. Whatever you need to do to make these events go off. Now, I'm not probably going to go to New York Comic-Con. That's a little expensive for me to go to. But aside from that, I think this is great. Rob, you hear that New York Comic-Con is moving ahead full steam. They're going to be implementing these guidelines. Good idea, bad idea? What do you think?
Well, my first thought, John, would be that, okay, it's great that the event is going on, but even with these guidelines, it's still a risk with the Delta variant on the rise. You're really putting a lot of trust in people to do the right thing. And I guess that's all you can do. But, you know, I think it is time to get back to normal, but we still have to get a handle on all of this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can't just do things willy-nilly. You have to take the precautions, right? And that's all I ask. That's all I've ever asked ever since the very beginning of this thing. Just, you can't do, like you used to say, Rob, short of putting on a hazmat suit, there's nothing you can do to 100% guarantee absolute safety. But if everybody just did the reasonable things, the reasonable precautions, I think it would be a much smaller issue today than it would have been. And I really like seeing this. I'm excited fans are going to get to go to this thing. And if it wasn't so damn expensive to fly across the country and get a hotel in New York, I would probably go myself as well. But I probably won't. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? New York Comic-Con is moving full steam ahead. They're going to have, of course, their requirements for proof of vaccination, all that kind of stuff. How are you feeling about that? Are any of you guys planning on going to New York Comic-Con? Jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts.